G'day, my name's Chris. Welcome back to Flat Tank Journey and welcome to my little Raleigh project. The episodes are starting to pile up and it's been really good and I'm really enjoying it. I've got over a lot of the things that didn't go well and I'm enjoying what's happening with the bike. This week's episode, just the spark plug. Just a spark plug. Boy, has it been a problem to me. This was the big stumbling block of the 350 engine in the 250 frame. I fixed it. The video is a bit disjointed. It's taken over a few days and I'm sorry, I repeat myself a couple of times in it. I should have followed the advice of an engine builder to begin with, but I desperately wanted a normal spark plug to fit. And it just doesn't. I hope you enjoy the episode. It should have been simpler after I'd resolved what to do, but it wasn't. Anyway, have a good one. One of the biggest issues I had with the Raleigh and it being mismatched with the engine and the frame was that the spark plug wouldn't clear. So you're looking at a regular, well, an old 18mm spark plug, 18mm on the bottom. And then you're looking at a modern chainsaw spark plug, to be honest. I spoke to an engine builder friend who I really do trust, and he suggested that the difference would be enough. And you can see that, you know, there's probably 20mm, maybe. But of course, this is 14mm, metric fine, I think. So I had to buy an adapter. Now the adapter takes the 14mm plug into an 18mm hole, and that works fine. And everything winds up really well. All that's good. So I'm hoping this is my solution. Now, here is a brass plug that was in the inlet side of the engine. And you might remember that the plug was put into the middle of the barrel and it shouldn't really be there. That's not really where it belongs. So my first issue is that the plug's not long enough, which is a bit of a blow. But nonetheless, we can machine the bottom of the adapter down. The adapter was only 25 bucks. I just need to get the adapter right into the hole and then work out what to do. So I could get a longer throw plug and bring it to the bottom, or I could spin it around and machine the plug. And I have several plugs, so I'm not overly concerned. I could machine the inside of the plug down. I'm going to have to scratch my head and have a think about it and think about, you know, whether I get and I assume it's 1/2 inch and 3/4 or something weird. I could get a longer plug on the bottom that's screwed right in. I might have to get some more advice about that. Plugs are not very expensive, so I can suss that out and see what to do about it. Here's what I'm going to attempt to do. I don't know whether this is sketchy or not. Here's the plug with the adapter on it. And so I screwed it in because I have to get this thing to run true, or the spark plug hole won't be true. So all I did was use the spark plug, and I did screw it all the way in. Left the chuck slightly loose, and then wound everything up tight with the spark plug in. So, in theory, it should be running true. But I'm about to see. I always like to stand back when I turn these things on. It doesn't look too bad for a 100-year-old plug. Now the catch is I've got to get inside there and machine from the centre outwards. So I'll have a go and see if I can get set up here and start making some cuts. I'm back. Given this clean up, so I've machined 6mm out of the depth. I still have, let me grab my calipers. I still have about 9mm in depth, which is pretty good. I've dressed the top of the nut as well, and I gave it a polish with a wire brush. And I am just going to give this a little lick with a file because it's just got some little rough edges. Now, everything kind of screws together. I'll leave the crush washer out. So here's an original plug, and without the adapter, the 18mm plug screws through probably a bit further than it was intended to. I'm guessing. Awful lot of guesswork involved. I suppose as long as it clears the valve, that's the main thing. So here's the adapter. Now, after the event, I decided that it had to be able to be got out. So that's a 15/16 socket, and I'm just going to go and grab a bar and just push that through. It's only brass, it's soft. Bear with me. All right, I'm back. So that's seated nicely in the bottom of the hole. I haven't put the crush washer in yet. This little kit came from a company here in Australia, and they supplied a crush washer for the, and it's tight of course, they supplied a crush washer for the adapter and a crush washer for a spark plug. So I've got about, sorry for the noise, got about 6 and a bit millimeters hanging through. And when you screw this in, I'm hoping, I'm just going to have the electrode poking through the bottom when I machine the bottom off this. I'm going to pop this whole thing in the lathe without the spark plug, and I'm going to machine that adapter off flush. It was 25 bucks, so I'm hoping not to make a mess of it, but I'd rather a traditional spark plug all fitted up. Suppose I should try it in the bike before I do all that. Yeah, let's do that. So this is where the plug should be. This is where it should be. Now, it all needs to clean up. All the mating surfaces need to clean up, and it could stand a new washer too, and Lloyd Hanser or someone like that on Facebook makes them. Now, I'll just pop that back on. So keep in mind the original height was about 6 or 7 mils over the top of the bar. That hasn't gone as much as I would have liked. I'm going to put a socket on a few of those bits and pieces and tighten a few up and see how we're going. I need to be below the line of the bar. Well, now, that's a bugger. I haven't got as far as I thought I was going to get. I've got about the width of a rule, maybe a mil to go. I've ordered some flattish spark plug tops, threaded bits, you know, nuts. I'm hoping that'll work. Boy, I was so close, but so far. If worse comes to worse, I can, you know, use the chainsaw plugs. But I don't really want to. So I'm going to push on. I'm going to cut the bottom off this adapter and keep hoping that I can get this all to fit. Let's see how we go. So here's the adapter, and I have machined the adapter off flush with the bottom of the plug, and then I just took a bit of emery tape and cleaned the brass up. I skimmed the outside. You can still see various marks. And then I took a file and just dressed the edge of the nut. I've dressed the top on the lathe and cut a new chamfer on the edge, just a little, so that it's still okay to get out. You can see the adapter's a long way in there. I'll show you what a chainsaw plug looks like. And, you know, this is our fallback position. And really, you know, there's nothing wrong with this position, except I'd need a slightly longer thread in the bottom. And you'll see very quickly that no drama, dairy farmer, it would fit just fine. How far does it go through? I don't know. Let's have a look. I think I'd have to lower the plug again. Oh no, look at that. It's hanging through just. I think if I tightened it up, it'd probably go through, because that's brand new. The crush washer hasn't been crushed. I think you can get them with a slightly longer electrode. So look, the good old spark plug, good old chainsaw spark plug. Yeah, and they come in a range of heats. And I think they come in a longer thread size too. But I'm going to have a look at that. So I really think that that is a success for now. It's much better than my attempts to cut down a spark plug. And you can, and I succeeded, but it's still rough as, and you'd never have a supply of spark plugs when you wanted it. So this is a much better result when you get it to screw back in. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm in here tidying up this spark plug issue. I'm just going to pull this exhaust one out. And it's been a spark plug one at some stage because somebody's put a bolt in the top. Now somewhere I've got exhaust ones that are blank. I might see if I can find one of those and clean one up and dress this surface, and that's got a nice big heavy copper washer under it, and see if we can get something back in that doesn't look so shitty. This is the original plug that went in the exhaust side, the valve cover, whatever you want to call it. I thought it was a spark plug thing, and I still kind of do, except I think this is made in one piece. I thought it was just a bolt that someone had put in a spark plug hole. But I don't know that it is now that I see it. Somebody's gone to an awful lot of trouble, and I'm not sure it hasn't been nickel plated at some stage. I don't know what the silvery stuff is. I just hit it with the wire brush. Weird. Anyway, I think this will be a better outcome. This one's cleaned up really well. I grabbed a copper washer for it. Copper washer's not great. Resolve that later. Let's see if this screws in and looks good. Kind of wish it was brass. That's just me. Wish it was a pair. Sort of begs the question whether I shouldn't clean up the other one and make the hole deeper in this one. Then we'd have a pair. Not sure. But look, for now, they're good outcomes and they've worked out really well. Here's the bike with the tank on, and I can get the spark plug to clear by, a millimetre if I just tighten the tank up and raise it slightly, and that's all cool. And with the new ferrule for the top to hold the lead on, I think I have even more clearance. However, I'd never have clearance to get the plug out. You'd have to disconnect the oil and the fuel and take the tank off to clean the plug. These are old oilers. They need the plugs cleaned and changed, and it'll be a nightmare. I think the only true way forward is to use the spark plug out of a chainsaw. I'm going to go tomorrow and suss out a different length of the threaded portion of the plug to see if I can get the plug to come through far enough. And I already think I can. When I was speaking to a friend who runs a chainsaw store, he was talking about plugs. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll bring you back when I've got that plug. In the meantime, I'll take this tank off and put a spark plug in and show you what it looks like, and you'll see what I mean. Now, none of us need to be Einstein to work out that this is the way to do it. I've probably got half to 9/16 room, and you can get the plug out. So now all I really need to do is to find the right plug. So this is in the heat range of 7, and I think it's a 6 or a 7 that I'm looking for. And even when that screws down, that's nearly under the bar. Oh, I've altered the angle. It's getting down to be a plausible level where you're not going to have any issues. I think, the reality is that Might put some toolboxes on it, or a carry bag, or a tool roll, and you carry a couple of plugs in the right size plug spanner. That's going to be a good result. I'm calling it that way. I think I've just about wrapped this spark plug issue up. As I said before, I've settled on a chainsaw spark plug, and that's a 7 in the heat range. I forget what brand it is, but it doesn't really matter. And I've lowered it down into the plug. Now, this was an original plug. Excuse the wobbliness. This was actually the plug that was in the top when I got the bike. Now, interestingly, it's brass, and none of the others are brass. I have skimmed the surfaces of this, and I have run a file over the edge of the nut part to get a very clean finish. Now, that gives you a good idea of how deep I set that in. As I said before, I've left that for a 15/16 sprocket socket to go into, so I can get the adapter out and the plug, because that could be an issue. Now, I've set the plug down so the bottom of the plug just comes through, and you should be able to see it's all sitting pretty flush. I did check the clearance on the valve, and yes, there's a mountain of clearance. She's not a interference fit or anything in there. So everything is good on the plug for now, and I'm going to call it good until I actually get to starting this damn thing. There you go. That's Flat Tank Journey for the week. I hope you got something out of it. The problem could be solved, and I always figured that it could be. I just didn't know how. There's an awful lot of scratch head time and worry time and research time that you don't see in that video. The spark plug looks good and fits well, and I'll have a little toolbox with a couple in it and some wet and dry sandpaper like everyone does, and the right size plug spanner, and that outcome of the chainsaw spark plug is going to work really, really, really well. And now that it's done, if you didn't know, you might not know. Real motorcycle people would pick it, but 95% of people looking at it wouldn't see it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the episode. Subscribe if you want to. Share it with your mates if you like. Have a good one. Cheers.